Have you ever wandered around your neighborhood and found a place and thought, where did this even come from? How long has this been here? Well, if you live in Glendale, it's likely you are near one of those places right now and don't even know it. Right off the 5 freeway, through a couple of back streets, and under an overpass, you'll find the Brewyard Beer Company, where Kirk Nishikawa and Sherwin Antonio are brewing their unique common style lagers at Glendale's first craft brewery.
Even a year in, we still have people come in like, I live down the street and I didn't even know you guys were here.
The only thing we've really had, right, all the way up until this point is word of mouth marketing. And the fact that it has been so effective is, it's way beyond what we were actually hoping. We've never done anything on this scale. And when people say, I heard about you guys, it's always flattering.
This is where we add the yeast, and this is actually where the magic happens.
It really just started on my apartment stove. Picked up a small beer kit online and started brewing, and I gave it to all my family and friends. They were my guinea pigs at first, and they're like, oh, this is good, I think.
So the SoCal is one of the first beers I started in my garage, and has been a household beer ever since I started brewing. It's a California Common, but it is hopped up, so it has a nice caramel malt backbone, but it does have a lot of hop character from the Northern Brewer hops.
Basically anything that he's ever gotten into, he's always just thrown himself into it, and so I've never ever questioned his skill in anything, and that's why I've always wanted to be a part of it, though, because I know that anything that we do together will always end up turning out pretty awesome, and his beers were no exception to that.
This is my homebrew setup, and we could brew 13 gallons in this contraption, and I actually took old bed frames, cut them up, and welded it together for this structure here. It's been outfitted with kind of improvements, but this is pretty much the original setup. So it all came from here.
One drunken night in Vegas, I kind of dragged him into this where, let's open up a brewery.
We knew we just wanted to make something that reflected who we are, in the tap room in itself. And then also the beers we were very passionate about the beers that he won a lot of awards on that we actually do have up there. California Common, the Black Sunrise, the Saison. We didn't really think it so far through. We should have, or if we had a lot of, if we were an actual respectable entrepreneurs and stuff, we would have had our concept down, blah, blah, blah. But, this has really grown very organically. We had to figure out who we were and what our beers were, and it still is a very interesting journey.
I love the California Common style, popularized by Anchor Steam, which is also known as a steam beer. And it just hit me one day, in terms of the process of the California Common of using lager yeast but fermenting it slightly warmer, you get this nice balance of ale flavors, but yet it still has lager characteristics of being clean and crisp. There's this light bulb that just came on, why don't we just incorporate that same process to these other beer styles? And no one was really doing that, and in turn, we kind of came up with what we call our common lager style here at Brewyard.
We didn't realize how uncommon common style lagers are. And that is something that we just made a whole bunch of, and we loved them and people liked them. But then the moment we tried to explain it to people, we kind of had blank stares because we were trying to get to brewery with the idea and not realizing that a lot of people are just walking in knowing their ales and their lagers. I don't think anyone has ever really had to put any consideration into where does this fit in the craft beer, in the commercial craft beer, the defined craft beer world. That's why we're fumbling through this whole year, just trying to figure out how to define it and how to explain it, where the average beer drinker can grasp it without getting too technical about fermentation temperatures and yeast strains.
At first glance, they're like, oh, it's just a California Common, but then once they try the different, kind of flavor profiles that we have here, they kind of change a little bit, and then they start asking questions and they're more curious and kind of intrigued in what we're doing. It does definitely create a curiosity. You know? It's like, what are these things?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We were trying to make sure that every week within a month there's something for someone. You know, whether it's Smash Brothers and Mario Kart.
Oh my god!
Whether it's something more healthy and beneficial, like yoga and Pilates.
Is hip hop karaoke.
Yes.
So we have that every first Saturday of the month, and you know, you really have a diverse crowd coming in. It's all like old school, good 90s hip hop, and even if you're not up there, you know, singing along, the whole crowd is singing together, and it's. And every Friday, we do what we call Rando Friday.
So this is our rando. So what we do here, we choose one of our beers on tap, and we'll run it through this contraption called rando, where this first canister here, we'll introduce fruits, spices into the beer that we're using. So what it does is it runs through the beer, through the tap, into the rando, and then it goes through and absorbs all the flavors from whatever ingredients we're using, and we offer it for that day only. So every Friday, Rando Friday, it's always something different.
And then from there, we decide if we would like to brew it on the bigger scale. That's kind of how a lot of our beers have come about. It was because, you know, just from the small batch, trying different things into the big batch here. It really has become, you know, a nice place for family and friends to get together, you know, and, you know, or even just spark conversations with new people.
It seems like a lot of times specific beers can be a bit intentionally polarizing, where it's like only the hardcore people can like this stuff, you know. But our beers more casual, more laid back, more approachable. Our beer and our tap room reflect who we are, as like our friendship and our personalities in general.
Thank you very much to Kirk and Sherwin. We're very honored that they allowed us to come into their space and film a segment. If you live in or around the Glendale area, no excuse, get down there. The guys, the space, and the crowd are all super cool. Definitely ask them about their Stein program, where only 100 members, never more than that, get to keep a Stein in the bar, and you get to try all the new stuff first. And stick with us here, because next week at the Brewhouse Bar, both Kirk and Sherwin will be here, talking more specifically about some of their common style lagers and some of their traditional Belgians that they make at the Brewyard Beer Company. And one final shout out, I couldn't have done this without the help of Jack Walsh. I want to thank him very much for taking the time out of his busy day to come and film with me down at the Brewyard Beer Company, and I hope he'll film some more with us soon in the future.